Hi, I'm Rhonda Caldwell, and this is Hamden Action Now. And we're going to talk tonight about a little bit about the inauguration that's coming up of Joe Biden and Kamala Harris, and what happened at our Capitol on January 6th. We never had a chance to talk about it last Saturday, but we're going to talk about it at length today. And we're going to bring on our regular guests, which will be CJ from Black and Brown United, Dewan Easton from the Citizens Opposed to Police States, and we'll be right back and you'll be ready to talk. I hope you all got some great comments tonight. Hi guys, how's it going? Well, welcome to Hamden Action Now, Brown United, Urban Concepts, and Bridgeport Action Now. And so we're going to talk tonight about all these wonderful things we've been hearing about in our capital. I mean, I'm sure everybody can see on TV that 25,000 troops have now surrounded our nation's capital. They also have on the news that they panned out to all of the states that Trump lost: Pennsylvania, Georgia, definitely Michigan. Michigan already had its one situation. And we have several people who are absolutely terrified all around these states. I know the state of Connecticut here has, I believe Ned Lamont has increased security patrols and the like. And here in Hartford to step up the patrols against the white supremacy movement, the white power movement that we saw in full display on January 6th at our nation's capital, where apparently the who's who of the white supremacy groups around our country came out to kill Vice President Pence, murder Nancy Pelosi, take people hostage, perhaps. So I was saying earlier today, and I know, okay, so even if they had, God forbid, been successful and were able to murder those two people, God forbid, they had to know that it wasn't going to give Donald Trump 4 more years in the White House. Like, Donald Trump was not going to get 4 more years. Like, that wasn't going to happen. So I mean, like, I'm not a constitutional law scholar, but I believe that definitely wasn't going to happen. So do you guys want to talk about that a little bit, like the lunacy of this movement right now, that they really believe that? I mean, the Constitution of the United States of America is a living document. It's a living, breathing document that's been living and breathing for over 200 years. And, the Constitution runs our country, not these people. Because when Nancy Pelosi retires and Vice President Pence goes back to Indiana, and everybody goes home, the Constitution still continues to live on. So I will always be really interested in knowing, I don't know any Trump supporters because they won't talk to me right now. And even if they did, they wouldn't talk to me anyway. But I'm just curious to ask them, like, y'all really think y'all could overthrow the government for real? What do you guys think? Go ahead, CJ.
I'm going to defer to Dewan. I'd like to hear him first on this.
I've actually had a chance to talk to a lot of the Trump supporters and stuff, and I think that this dying gasp is going to hurt them in some odd ways, only because the United States does run on racism, but it likes to not be able to admit that it's racist. It likes to be able to kind of slip it in those little ways to kind of nudge at you every day, where you have to try and figure out the innuendo and everything else. But a racist assault from a white mob on the White House is pretty hard to avoid. It's clearly what you pointed out actually 2 weeks ago. It's an attempted murder on us by murdering our representatives, which is something you warned us about 2 weeks ago. Actually, I remember, I think it's in my notes, that they try to discredit our representatives as a way of discrediting us in a different form of warfare against our rights to representation. And it's why the narrative or the social dynamic is such that we don't get equal representation, because our representatives come on the job telling us, I'm not going to do the job. They tell us
Right.
what the job will be in the form of the racism of incrementalism that the Democrats practice so much. And actually, Catherine was talking about earlier today, I remember.
Yeah, I mean, it just seems to me that it's so far-fetched. I mean, it's violent and it's crazy and it's scary, but it's so far-fetched. I'm like, do y'all know that, like, you're not gonna kill Gretchen Whitmer and her family and overthrow the Michigan state government?
They
Like,
shouldn't
the
have made
state
it
government,
that far.
it's like, I'm like, it's not Gretchen Whitmer. It's not like she's not the
Mhm.
state of Michigan. It's like she's not the empress or the queen of, so we could overthrow like a monarchy or something. If she's gone, there will be somebody else. I mean, because the documents, supersede the people. So, I mean, I just cannot get over. I mean, I mean, we could talk all day about this white power. I mean, literally, it was a who's who of white supremacy groups. We had the Three Percenters, QAnon, Proud Boys, um, Ku Klux Klan, Confederate folks. I mean, it was, I mean, I've been saying for 25 years that these groups have gone underground.
Mhm.
I always told people that this was
Well,
always brewing beneath the surface somewhere.
I'd like to chime in here. So, I come from a country where there was a coup attempted and people lost lives, and it was very devastating. And I was a child. And in that country, Trinidad and Tobago, I identify as Black. In this country, I was told and I know I cannot identify as Black, right? I identify as brown. Now, this is where it gets tricky because who taught us to hate ourselves is what, Malcolm X told us. Who told us to do that? Who told us to say these things? We talk about what happened at the Capitol, and then right here in Connecticut, a Black activist was spat on. A white woman used a toy as a decoy for a child and spat on her. Meanwhile, at Washington, these extremists, these domestic terrorists, climbed the wall in synchrony and was able to get through this very high secure, and then we're talking about people who are police officers, we're talking about bankers, we're talking about, and then we also had at the same time a Black senator who stood up for police accountability, who took it all the way to legislation, his life being threatened. We've had Black and brown people losing their jobs, domestic workers in particular, because they're being told, well, since you have to homeschool, you can't do the job, or there's not, there's always a reason to disenfranchise us. And in saying all of that, at Washington, somebody flew the Connecticut state flag. And I want Connecticut, which claims to be so progressive, to really take that in. This is one of the richest states in the United States. And yet, it is blinded by big white lies. You have Ned Lamont, who on his own has such wealth, and yet around him, people are living in tents. So I agree with what was said because this thing it didn't just happen overnight. This was in formation. And I think that there's a lot of emotions that it brought out, especially amongst the Black and brown people, because I said it before and I'll say it again. If that were us, we would be dead. And what they would do is pick the worst picture of you and find the worst storyline of you and talk about how you were this radical Black person who had a drug problem and mommy wasn't here. And I'm not saying that these things are not true, but the way that we're handled in this state is absolutely ridiculous. From the HR office to the streets to the law. I mean, the Black and brown leaders are absent in the nonprofits. in the state offices, in the police, right? So it's like we have to continue in this way. And what I'm afraid of is what I've experienced twice in this country. When I came here at the time that the unfortunate incident of 9/11 happened. I was at Albertus Magnus, and my hair was jet black, its natural color, and I was told to get out because I was one of them. So that's instance number one. Um, After, Obama was appointed president, I also incurred it there because I had a situation where I went to the mall with my son, and that year he dressed as Obama. He had the Obama mask. And this happened at the Milford Mall. And the security guard came up to us and store owners and said, "We don't do that here. We don't do that here. We don't allow, what are we going to do?" But you see what I'm trying to say is that there's such coded language and behaviors right here in Connecticut that is so normalized that you would allow a woman to show up with a decoy. The police are standing 6 feet away from her and spit on her. And then he didn't do anything. Now, let me tell you something. Let me go up there and spit on one of them. All right. And next thing you know, I'll be on Channel 8, every single news station, and I would be told, I would be spoken about, I don't know what they'll describe me as, because like I said, I have come to terms with being brown in America, and I don't mind it. But I have lived a Black experience in my country, and to an extent here. I won't say to a full extent, because I wasn't born here, but this is where it gets ticklish when we talk about things. And I am hoping that we as Black and brown people, we bring it together and we don't fall apart. That's all I would say on that.
We got another guest that just joined us in the studio, smidge tardy, but we won't throw the book at him just yet. We thank you for joining us, Mr. Graham from Urban Concepts in Bridgeport, Connecticut, and Bridgeport Action Now. Um, we'd like to hear what your thoughts are on the folks that have stormed our capital in the name of white power and white supremacy and wanting their country back. And the fact that there was a big old blue Connecticut state flag waving from side to side down there, just we was representing Connecticut. Connecticut was well represented down there. What do you think about that?
You're coming to me, Rhonda?
I'm coming to you.
Well, if you think about that, let's start with the flag. You have so many individuals who have been found. People are turning them in, face recognition, the whole nine. Now, you can't tell me that it's been going on 2 weeks now, that no one has been able to fine tune the photo enough to identify who that person was. That's my first argument, because that should have been an easy thing, because you're taking people from different angles with helmets and hats and everything on, but you can find that person, but you haven't been able to find that individual. Now that's the issue that I guess eventually we will get that resolved. I don't know if Mr. Lamont or any of our senators that were that felt threatened and endangered, if that person was there doing that, what's to say that they won't come to the state capitol and do the same thing?
Exactly.
Now, as far as the individuals that was there, that liberal individuals are saying, this is not my America. This is not the American that I know.
Whose America is it?
I say it is your America, because this is how America has dealt with any type of issues historically. You got the Boston Tea Party. You've got the massacre down at the Black Wall Street. You have the carnage down at Rosewood. This is how America, white America, you have you have numerous riots that when Black individuals have gotten their leg up in society, that white America will say, hey, there's an injustice to me. This is my country and I'm feeling disenfranchised. So this is just case in point. This is nothing new. This is what they do, and this is how they've always behaved. And anyone, if anyone comes and says contrary to that, I will beg to differ. Right now, you have maybe 25,000 U.S. armed forces, state and federal, that have to guard the capital of the United States. Tell me when, during the summer, because everyone keeps bringing up the summer, during Black Lives Matter, when did this type of artillery and arsenal ever had to be called out? I was watching a video today, and it was a veteran, and a veteran said, wow, I don't know if people can wrap their mind around it, that U.S. military individuals now have to consider that I may have to kill another American on American soil.
Yes.
He's like, the psychological toll that they have to try to get these individuals in right now is astronomical, because this is what you're telling these individuals. If these individuals show up, it's your duty as a U.S. military personnel to what? What's the Constitution say?
Foreign or domestic.
Foreign or domestic.
Foreign or domestic.
So we could be witnessing a bloodbath.
Foreign and domestic.
We could be witnessing we're on the precipice of a bloodbath that may happen. Mm-hmm. That may trigger a new civil war. And everyone keeps trying to pull Black Lives Matter. Mm-hmm. The whole thing now is that it's like, now you're going to tell me that the people that got arrested, right? The people that were arrested, they've been proven that they're not Antifa. So you mean to tell me Antifa is that stealth that they can get in, start all this uprising, and just disappear into the and not one Antifa individual has been arrested yet? It's bull. It's bull.
Well, how about the fact, to add to that, Edgar, Black Lives Matter has protected the police before. We have footage of that.
Yes,
where,
ma'am.
You see, so that's what I'm saying, mm-hmm. And I agree what you're saying there. It is.
This is unprecedented. But everyone keeps trying to change the narrative and to make it seem that, going back to Donald Trump's statement down in North and South Carolina, they're good and bad on both sides.
Lord help me.
That's what they keep trying to say, because they keep trying to balance the scale by saying, well, we had this type of problem during Black Lives Matter during the summer. I want someone to show me where at any Black Lives Matter, and they knew that, because you have to get a permit, so you knew that they were coming, that you felt so threatened that you had to call out the National Guards and the military to now protect this. You know how this is going to look to the world? That here is the United States, that now they have to pull out the National Guards and arm military
for a peaceful
transition of power.
Dewan as a veteran. I'd like to hear his thoughts as a veteran. Dewan,
go. I want to hear what you have to say. Tell us where you were in the military.
Hmm?
Where were you in the military?
I think my sound is acting up.
We can hear you. We can hear you.
I can hear you.
Okay. I can only hear you. I can't hear Wanda and Catherine.
All right.
But all right. So what Rhonda asked is that
Go ahead.
I think he's gone.
I'll give him a chance to get his stream back together.
Yeah,
I think he lost his internet connection.
So those are my issues. Those are my issues, is that everyone is still trying to downplay this like it's not, it wasn't all that bad. It's like America, white America uses terminologies in their favor. When the Indians attacked, it was a massacre. When they attacked, it was just a victory. So it's the same play on words that they're doing now. They cannot say that, look, this was egregious, and this what is the punishment for sedition and treason?
You have to be executed.
Death.
You're executed. That's an execution right there.
So I'm like,
no question.
Don't forget that part. They all went back to work like if none of this happened. They all went back to normal.
They were able to take planes back to their homes. The police came and got them and walked them out with handcuffs. They didn't storm the house at 3 o'clock in the morning, kicking the doors in with flash grenades and all that. They waited. They probably waited until they had breakfast, take a shower. You may be there a little while, so we're going to want for you to take a shower.
Don't make sure you're fed.
You know what I mean?
We don't want to take you to jail hungry. That's not even right. Go ahead, Dewan. I'm sorry. Go ahead, Dewan. I know we wanted to hear from you because we know you're ex-military. You're former military.
Right.
That is one of the shameful things that we're seeing, like what we would call equal protection under the law has been exposed as a joke in the United States, because we were largely peaceful protesters. And Catherine, I know, on the front lines. If I would have suggested an action like what they did on the Capitol, we were talking, Wanda was, you would have just simply been like, okay, you need to go to the mental ward. You've lost it. No one would have been followed me. They would have assumed that I had lost my mind.
Absolutely. Yes.
While they were standing over people saying to murder a police officer with his own gun.
Own weapon. Yes.
His own gun.
If Antifa and us were out there and we actually did a transfer of power, think about it. Our radical agenda is to get people health care and eliminate homelessness. It's not
and
to
feed
murder
and feed people.
And we show it in our own actions. We have to play these lying word games, but who's killed cops? I would love to see the body count in comparison, because I'm reasonably certain we're still at a big fat goose eggs when it comes to killing cops, because we're not dumb enough to come in protesting with a bunch of military weapons.
Absolutely.
In military gear. I mean, you don't know who's the good.
We're not there for that. Let's talk about that part. We're not there for that. Like, seriously.
So they didn't stop comparing us to that.
Exactly.
That's what they're doing. Hey, listen, everyone. What I've been doing, I told you this, Rhonda. What I've been doing since the insurrection is I've been listening to conservative radio, because you have to hear what these individuals are saying. It is madness. It's almost it's cognitive dissonance. They have to say that it wasn't that bad. We had the same thing during the summer. I don't hear people calling them out. Why do we need this big military presence?
Let me tell you something, Edgar. Black and brown protesters got arrested. They lost jobs. They were threatened with their job security. Some of them did not even have a chance to go back to work because of that. So the violence was brought to us by the police. Some of us were defamed. We had people look at us like, oh, they're just being radical. We did not walk up in nobody's White House and take stuff. We did not smear fecal matter.
Feces.
Oh my God! Did you see that? I almost passed out. I was like,
so they
that's
went.
The Capitol.
Who does that?
We
civilized individuals do that. That's something that civilized people do.
I want to go on for a minute, because I want to hear from him as a veteran now. How do you feel about something that was said, which was, someone who is made to serve America now being told to kill a fellow American? What do you think about that?
I think any veteran that didn't wasn't paying attention or doesn't understand how intel and propaganda works, because the biggest news station in the United States has two white supremacists on its primetime network who are blatant.
He's freezing up.
And sorry, is it better now?
Yes.
It's better.
Yeah, repeat what you were saying, sir.
So what they're getting is just like Edgar described it. They get a full fix of anti-black, anti-brown, pro-white propaganda that is easy to anyone with just a basic freshman level of understanding from critical race theory can identify as the source of the stochastic terrorism we've come to expect as the new norm now.
Right.
The thing is, we're not so indoctrinated and privileged in white supremacy that we don't believe that our comfort is worth somebody's life.
Right.
And that's that we found ourselves in, and that's why CJ wisely said for us to stay our asses at home, because we started this war this summer, and we didn't come to murder and kill and use biological warfare and throw poop and basically get medieval with people. We came to try and get some legislation done and some laws changed and build something with some equality. These guys,
and we need to do that because we were part of a conversation like that, Dewan, where someone who was white came in with coded language, right? And in this chat, and this happened earlier today, right? She told me to get over police brutality and being non-white in America. Like, I got to get over it. And all because she did not feel that we should use the term defund the police. To which I said, what's the problem? I kept asking her over and over, and she kept talking about, well, it doesn't sound right. In my opinion, all our programs, we have been defunded so long, it's normal. Our school system, our housing, everything has been defunded. And so I asked her if she's worried about it because defund and police are together. Because when you think police, you think white power. Are you offended by defunding white power? And that's when she told me to get over it. And Dewan is my witness. And we're sitting there like, what? I had to leave the conversation because I know my mouth, and I wasn't going to go there, because we have to understand that what happened at the Capitol has been happening in Connecticut for too long, way too long. And we need to face that, and we need to deal with that. And like I said, it's in the HR office, to the streets, to the law. And, this is why there was supposed to be this MAGA protest, and they were going to meet up at IKEA North and New Haven. And, we really rallied together to make it a point that this is unacceptable. And so now IKEA released a statement saying that they're not with it. The mayor later came on to say something. I mean, he's a whole other conversation by himself. But again, it was still juxtaposition against the Black Lives Matter protest again. So it's happening here too, and it's happening right now.
If I may, with regard, yes, sir. Go.
Oh, it's just that afterwards she acknowledged, the white ally did acknowledge how CJ was right, and that she had kind of sided with the white supremacists and bought into the propaganda. She realized that she had made a huge mistake there. And that's one good thing about our advocacy, is we are on the side of right, so we can just make our arguments and us win.
Right. Now with regards to your future protest, precedence is always something that individuals need to kind of focus on, because right now this insurrection has set a precedence to whereas now you're almost giving the police and the authority to just open a can of whoop ass up on future protesters. because now they're going to say, we didn't know the level of extent that what may happen, and we didn't want what happened at the Capitol, so we just start mowing them down before they even reach the steps of whatever building. So some intel, some intelligence, some kind of strategy needs to happen where you have individuals on the fringes. We're getting into a little logistics now. Military man, you can jump in at any time and say that, you know, it's time now to really, if you're going to do these protests, there needs to be some real reconnaissance work done and some real security checkpoints set up so that you have eyes in different places.
But with the police,
and you know what you need to stop doing? You need to stop advertising your planned protests.
Right.
Yes.
Some stuff needs to just be offline.
Right.
Okay? Some action just doesn't need to be advertised.
Just show up. Boom. There's 1,000 individuals here. What's going on? Rhonda, you made that point. You made that point at your when you guys wanted to go to the Board of Education. You guys put it out, and they had police and everything was there waiting for you guys.
Yep. We weren't doing
Got to get a little military, and we got to get a little military, a little bit of sophisticated to say that. Not saying that the movement is not sophisticated. Let me change my word, but wordplay can be dangerous. Just saying that, look, if it hasn't been put into the language, really some external, we need people on the fringes watching what's going on so that they can react if something jumps off.
I'm gonna keep it real. We are extremely naive, and that has caused a lot of problems in how we deal with what's going on in the field. We actually, it's like we don't really get that it is ACAB, that these people are defending a racist institution, and they will do it with murder and death.
Yeah.
We a lot more militant, as you pointed out, and I know a gentleman named Cornell has given me a lot of classes on exactly how he wants that to look, and we're working towards a very young movement, though. So a lot of times we are, I guess, flossing to get this insurrection started, and in building we do need to understand that it's time to get militant. It's time to get on code. That's one reason why when I'm watching CJ work, I expect that
we're not planning an insurrection. We just want some changes.
Oh yeah.
So you know,
right.
So let's
on that. I mean, like political insurrection, as
right. No, the only reason why I made that, the only reason why I made the corrections, we don't know who can be listening to this, and sound bites can be snipped, and next thing you know, this organization is planning an insurrection. Yeah, you understand what I'm saying? So wordplay, especially now, wordplay is going to be so critical that that no one gives anyone a sound bite.
Yeah,
so that was my only reason. I fully understood what you were saying, but sometimes we just need to be mindful. Once again, we need individuals that are listening and individuals that are critiquing, and everyone needs to be thick-skinned enough to say that, look, if we're on one common path, that if I come and I said, brother, let's look at it from this perspective. The end goal is the end goal. Rhonda, I finished watching the Stacey Abrams documentary.
Oh, good.
That's the move.
Isn't that good?
That's the
next
move.
one.
Everybody needs to watch it.
If they don't want to do, they do not want to, really subject themselves to following the Black and brown agenda, then you just get up from that seat, and we'll put somebody else in it that will. You see how easy that is? I know that sounds easier, especially in a state that pretends to be so blue, with all of this non-progressive stuff going on.
Like,
go ahead,
not for nothing.
CJ.
You know, what happened in Washington happened in Washington, but I just don't want us to lose sight of what happens here, because at the same time, a Black woman was disrespected, and we could talk till we're blue in the face, but she's absolutely right. The state claims to be blue, but yet You don't see that on the job. You don't see that in the law. You don't see that
Or
in the
at the
legislation. You
polls.
don't at the polls. You don't see
Racism,
it. You don't see it at the grocery
racism,
store. Our
racism
grocery
has
store
one
attendants.
color.
Well, wait a minute. Our grocery store attendants are mostly, and our rest stops and the grocery stores, the rest stops, the gas stations. Those are mostly black and brown people doing that work, and they have been on the line since the beginning of COVID, right? And they have been risking themselves, and nobody want to talk about that. We have a defunct 2-on-1
I'll go one
system
better.
and a 2-on-1.
I'll I'll
It's
I'll I'll
ridiculous.
go I'll go one better. Now, I have doctor friends, I have nurse friends, I have all of that. But all you see when they're talking about really frontline workers, they just really started interjecting housekeeping.
Yes,
Housekeeping.
domestic workers.
I worked at Bridgeport Hospital for 12 years. I worked in security, so frontline. But housekeeping, every single one of those patients that either die or after that room is cleared, guess who's coming in? Housekeeping. Housekeeping is cleaning the lobby, the bathrooms. Housekeeping needs to be up
Domestic
front
workers.
with
Domestic workers.
the
That's
doctors, but
That's right.
you don't see that. They gloss over the
Wait a minute.
housekeeping individual.
I'll add to that. What about the home health aides? The one who
Yes,
handling the
same thing.
disabled and the elderly folks. Same
Yep,
thing. You're not hearing about them. What
same
about
thing.
them? They matter
You don't,
too.
right.
They matter
And
too. They're just as important.
right.
So
And
meanwhile, I want to just say back at the ranch, while white folks wanted their country back and white folks was over there saying they wanted to be free, 4,085 people died of COVID that day.
Yeah.
Set another record day of COVID deaths.
But that's
we were
okay. We can
promised
reopen schools.
we were promised 20 million vaccines to be administered by the first of the year. We only had 2. You still have a very large fringe of the right wingers, the Trumplicans, as I refer to them as the Trumplicans because I don't even know, the Republican Party even wants to be a part of that anymore. That refuse
Right.
to wear masks. And when they were put into the rooms in the Congress and the Senate rooms which were the safe rooms for them to be in, that the Democratic Congress lady was handing out masks and the Republicans refused to put on the mask.
under
And
siege.
now you got
Under siege.
Under siege. You got people out there trying to kill all of you, and you still refuse to put on a mask. Now,
Still refuse.
six Congress people have now come up positive with COVID, one of which is a cancer survivor and 74 years old and is now in the hospital fighting for her life. Now, you see how cute that was? You see
Right.
how cute that was? You
But
determined not to put on a mask while the Secret Service is trying to save you. It is
Right.
just incredible. The arrogance of white supremacy,
Yes.
the arrogance of it.
That's a
Listen,
good word. I like that. It's
the
true.
sheer
It's very,
arrogance of
very
it. I
true.
ain't putting on a damn mask. F
But
you.
And then
could you
let's talk about
could you imagine what the
that-
fallout
that
is going to
brought
be
up
from
the
that siege as far as COVID related that
Nobody had on.
no one had on masks. They're out there just God knows what, spreading, and now that Obamacare, that healthcare plan that everyone so readily hates. Let's see how much of them it's going to be begging and praying for that now.
It's gonna pay for that remdesivir that you're gonna need to save you.
That's another
ahead.
thing. The COVID healthcare has been rationed. Like the black and brown people are not receiving the same amount accessibility to treatment, pre-treatment, even the vaccine. What about those who are on Medicaid? Where are they? Where are they? And we have a significant population who will not receive the care for COVID because of their insurance. And these are things happening right here, right now. And we need to address it. You know, we have a big old institute here. Over $30 billion Yale has in endowments. Tell me about the time when they learned about the homelessness right here, people living in tents. And they said, you know what? Instead of bringing back the students and making them pay for all this screening every day and everything else, let's open up the dorms and let people have somewhere to sleep that's warm. Let's have people, let's use it as a treat. They never did that. They were not held accountable. So, you know, this, as Rhonda said from the beginning, this thing didn't start last night. This was building, and Donald Trump just made it more recognized. That's what he did. And they all went home. They all
Man,
went back home. Some of them even put stuff for sale on eBay, and they went on with life.
Incredible.
This happened right here
Incredible.
in America.
I don't even know what to say. I mean, what do you tell your kids? You tell your kids that it's okay to lie and make stuff up? I mean, Donald Trump knew damn well. He knew damn well that killing Mike Pence was not going to give him 4 more years in the White House. And anybody in this country that believed that he really had, Mike Pence had the authority to not read it. I mean, the Electoral College has spoken. The people have spoken. You're done here.
The fact that these rumors are coming up, and you know, people are just like absorbing them like sponge. You know, if it were one of us, I keep saying it, it wouldn't be the same. Like Edgar said, you know, they escorted these people. They're not like coming down on doors and pulling people, dragging them out their house in the middle of the night. They probably ask them, yo, bro, you want to wear those shoes or those shoes? Because right now, the two biggest gangs are at war with each other. It's the police versus the Proud Boys. For real. That's what this is. And what we need to do is black and white.
Don't leave the QAnon folks out. And the 3%ers. Don't leave them out either. And the KKK, I think they just rebranded themselves.
Hey, how crazy is it? How crazy is it in America when the KKK is like almost a non-factor?
It's normalized.
Remember when they used to be the Aryan?
The KKK is like a non-factor. You got you got crazier people than the KKK? Come on, man.
But remember, you used to have the Aryan Nation and the skinhead movement.
All gone. All gone.
Where are they at? Or did they rebrand themselves? Are they now the Proud Boys?
They kind of rebranded and apparently worked with the Russians to become a better insurrectionist force. So
No, but let me tell you something else, though, guys. Some of these people probably showed up to BLM protests, because here's another thing. Just showing up to the protest is not how we address anything. We need you to use your privilege where it matters. Give us back our respect. Give us back our melanin. Like you took away our identity, and then you show up to a protest, you hold up a sign, and you think that, you know, you did your job. That's not how this goes. Every day a black and brown person suffers at the hand of white supremacy. And it doesn't even matter what their political affiliation is. And clearly,
nobody cares about that.
It doesn't matter where they work, as proven by what happened on the 6th.
Mm-hmm. Barbara Fair said, I got to read this comment from Barbara Fair. It's too good. She said, how can these people say that they want their country back? What country are they talking about? Have they forgotten America was stolen from Native Indigenous people? Their demands are laughable.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Thank you, Barbara. We agree.
Absolutely.
Go ahead, Dewan. I'm sorry, I cut you.
Police them, you know, have they thought about the efficacy, or better yet, instead of tone policing? I remember, you know, when people get on our case for words like defund or the beautiful word abolish, that I love so much.
Love that word.
Case of the right wing for the truth of their propaganda, because they literally, we've always known for the past 20 years or so, we've had to deal with them, their commitment to the big lie. And when you really get down to it, there's racism and there's their commitment to the big lie so as not to address the racism. that gives that extra fuel. That's like that little dynamite fuel that he puts in there before he grabs his little grenades and says, let me F up the country a little bit more with his stochastic terrorism, where he signals to a white person, hey, here's this person should die. And suddenly storming the Capitol and killing them. I mean, I don't know how much more blatant the stochastic terrorism could be. It's this isn't even an academic thing. It's like you don't even get to come into the poli-sci classroom if your dumbass could identify this.
You don't even need to get a book and read anything. It's like, dude, if you kill Vice President Pence, you still don't get 4 more years. I mean, God forbid if you took out the whole building, Donald Trump still wasn't getting 4 more years. Because guess what? 5 copies of each certificate of Electoral College vote was sent to 4 of the places in addition to the Congress. So we're just going to get those copies. All right.
Such babies, because strategically, they never went for the popular vote. They never moderated enough to ever try and win a popular vote. So they pinned their entire electoral strategy on the Electoral College winning. In other words, they wanted to use a vestige of slavery to maintain power, and they're having a hissy fit because their little punk asses have been exposed and lost.
It didn't work.
They have a dumb strategy. I mean, if my strategy to win an election is to get less people to and win it, I'm an idiot.
Well, you know, that goes back to what in the Stacey Abrams documentary, where Rhonda, you alluded to it also. Smaller turnouts, that's what individuals want. They don't want the large. Remember, Trump lost the popular vote. He won on the Electoral College. He won the certain states that gave him enough votes. And he tried to recreate it, but you can't put the genie back in the bottle. It happened once, and it didn't happen again. You know,
well,
and that's what it is.
I mean, what we do from here, I say that we continue to overturn these coronations and these 30-year incumbents, and we continue. See, what my thought process is that they were so angry at Detroit and Philly and Atlanta and Phoenix and those urban centers where Black and brown people came out strong to the polls. And had they come out strong in 2016, we wouldn't even have to go through 4 years of Donald Trump. You know, I mean, so, to make these comments saying I want my country back was just basically to delegitimize the power of the Black and brown vote. Because without it, Donald Trump gets 4 more years. Donald Trump easily gets 4 more years without the Black and brown vote. So what I say is that we continue the movement to take back the legislature, because we paying for it. They come and get our tax money faithfully. They take it out of my paycheck every 2 weeks. I get a bill from Kurt Lang every 6 months. All right. I give to every paycheck. Ned Lamont gets a little everybody gets broke off every time I get paid. The people down there in DC get a little something. Everybody's good. So you need to start doing what I tell you. If I'm paying you, government is the only place that you can pay for services and have to go and ask them to provide you a service. Oh, please give us a decent school. Oh, please give us some decent housing. Here's some more money, but I just want to make sure you don't forget about me when it comes time to get some housing. No. Give us our damn housing. Connecticut is the second wealthiest state in the union, and we got people living in tents in New Haven, Connecticut.
And that's the thing.
Everybody should be ashamed of themselves.
They don't acknowledge.
I'm sorry, I'm done with my rant.
Gains and the way the United States has been structured. This has been given to most of the people that have the extreme amount of wealth they have. The idea that they earned it is ridiculous. Let's look at a cab driver's work and compare it to Warren Buffett's work. How would you possibly work $4 billion more a day? it's an absurdity, and it's obvious that we were born into a country that had a financial gain to basically help white supremacy. And when you try
Right.
different institutions, like especially if you forget that ICE and that our brothers are sitting over there in concentration camps right freaking now. If you forget that that is still related to our police state and the bigger concentration camps that they have and our foreign policy, then you forget exactly how big the military that we try to work with, because the cops are just another form of military now. They use the same equipment that we
They sure
try
do.
to work down in order to gain equality, and we've managed to be nonviolent.
Right.
I mean, so largely that it's nearly unspeakable to even talk about the 3.7% that they may have found something that might have been some agitator starting something. Agitator meaning a cop, because we've seen the video. More likely the cops would start stuff than not, and we spend more time trying to de-escalate what cops start.
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, that's why they need to be defunded, right?
Yeah.
That's why they need to be defunded. We need our money back. We need it back in our schools. We need it back in our housing. We need it in our mental health.
Mental health.
I mean,
Mental health.
we are traumatized. We're all traumatized, right?
Connecticut closed the state hospitals when, Edgar? In the 1980s?
In the 1980s, yeah.
Right?
The Connecticut closed the state mental hospitals in the 1980s,
Let them
sent
out in the
everybody
streets.
home, and
Yep.
said, we'll bring you your meds.
Yeah.
Now you got all these people, and I mean, I'm not saying people need to stay in a mental hospital, but you don't have a crisis unit. When you have a person who's in mental crisis, you call a cop. Well, they're law enforcement.
Right.
You see how the words sound different?
They're
Law
not trained for that.
enforcement and
They're not trained for that.
Yeah.
They're two different
They're not
things.
trained for that.
Stop calling
They're
the
two different
police
things.
when a person is in mental health crisis, because now you're
Right.
criminalizing mental health crisis issues, and they're not criminals.
Well, not only
They're in
that, but
mental
you're
health
putting them in the
crisis.
schools. Why do we have more officers in schools than we have SRO? We have these SROs instead of social workers. I mean, that's a problem.
Or mental
Like, we have
health
been
workers.
disenfranchised.
Or
Right. Right.
fault the daughter or son of the wrong one, because they're going to swear that
Right.
the violence is overdue for the way that they treat our kids. They're going to swear that violence was a form of Black Lives Matter or some form of terrorist, instead of exactly what it is, which is chickens coming home to roost. Because in anywhere
That's
else
right.
you mess with someone's children, you mess with your own life.
Well, it is chickens
That's
coming
why
home to
the schools
roost, because
shouldn't open.
the good moderate white folks have stood around and listened to those
Yes.
folks that showed up at the Capitol and be like, they hear it at work, they hear it at church, they hear it at the bowling alley, all the jokes and all the, we need to get rid of these people, we need to get them out, we need to get these people back, send them back to wherever they came from. So you all, that was funny and harmless until they showed up to kill Vice President Pence on January 6th. And suddenly everybody's like, ooh, I didn't realize, this dude is really serious. He was dead serious. He was deadly serious.
Right.
Okay.
Racially, in racial crimes that followed Trump's rallies all over the country, according to the Washington Post. I think they reported that sometime in December.
Wow.
Remember.
So, I mean, I'm just saying, I know we're going to wrap up because I know it's getting ready to be 9 o'clock soon. We're 5 minutes up. I don't know if y'all have any final thoughts, last thoughts, because the next time we talk is going to be, we'll have a new president. Donald Trump's going back to Florida. So when we meet again next Saturday.
Hey, I want to end with
people who are upset. Joe Biden will be your president next Saturday, just so you know. And I know Joe Biden's not perfect. Let me just calm everybody down. I'm not saying he's perfect, but he ain't Donald Trump.
Right.
Let me just say that. That's a mic drop right there.
Let's see if all the orders that he put on the table, if they're tall orders to fill. So we have to give him a chance, opportunity. I'll end my speech with this. There's a philosopher, Dante, and he has a quote. says the hottest places in hell are reserved for those who maintain their neutrality during the time of moral crisis. That goes to those white people, Rhonda, that sat by and watched this pot boil up until it boiled over.
Well, let me tell you about Martin Luther King. Let me tell you what he said from the Birmingham jail about the white moderates. He said they were more dangerous.
Dangerous.
More. Let me say it a little louder for the people in the back of the church. Martin Luther King from that Birmingham jail said, let me tell you something about the white moderates. I'd rather have, he spoke about lukewarm.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? You want to be
Connecticut.
I could come to the march, but I gotta take my dog to the vet. Oh, I could come to the rally, but you know, it's my daughter and my everybody's dinner time is that time, so I'm not. Yeah, y'all are responsible. You did this. You had the chance to shut it down and you did not.
Or the allies that came out to the Black Lives Matter, okay? Because I saw a lot of white people during those marches, but they don't use their financial or their privilege to institute the changes that are necessary. So I can walk with you, but I still, I don't know about defunding the police. I don't know about changing this policy. I don't know about any of that.
I'll get back to you.
I'll get back to you. I did my part.
I like to end on this. This right here that happened is nothing new to us who are not white, first and foremost. And we have been befit with a lot of their judgment and a lot of things that they have done. And right now they have to face themselves. And it also includes us having some serious and difficult conversations because there are sellouts amongst us who, on the surface, they look like us, but on the inside, they support the white agenda. And we have to be honest about these things because right now emotions are on high. And we have to be realistic about that because guess what? We all know that even though this is a war between them, you see, this is a war between them and my eye. And I just want us to be, recognizing the fact that we're all hurting at the same time. We've been disenfranchised for a long time. Emotions are on high. People are scared because at the end of the day, even though they're at war with each other, somehow we still get hurt. We've been hurting for too long. And I hope we lean on each other and we recognize that our freedom lies when we tie to each other and we walk. Martin spoke about it, Malcolm spoke about it, the big white lie. And that's what's been exposed. And here we are. And next week, we could talk about Joe Biden, but guess what? No, let's hold him accountable. Let's use the political power we have. Let's go to the polls. Let's demand action. Let's make sure our legislators are getting paid more than 28K. Let's make sure Yale University does more than exist and hire a certain number. Let's make sure everybody, including the Black, brown, disabled, have access to COVID pre-treatment and treatment. Let's make them accountable. That's what we do. We hold them accountable because they never apologize, nor will they, but they ran supreme and now they're embarrassed because it could have been worse. This was just a touch. This was just a wink. And I do not think schools should reopen. And I think people need to think about that because it's our babies out there when schools, those doors open. It's our kids and our lives have been expanded enough. And we didn't even talk about the people detained and incarcerated yet. And I'll just like to end on that.
Dewan, what's your final words, brother?
I think we need to look towards staying inside, especially, and our kids do need to stay home. I've been reluctant to jump on board with that because I have kids, and it's going to be hard to protest without my kids home. But we do need that time at home, that time where we can sit here, have these conversations, because I think in our movement, we are finding it a little difficult to figure out how to save some of us who don't see our own privileges and need intersectionality explained a little bit more, because it took me a long time to come to terms with the privileges I get for being 1/4 white, married to a white woman, highly educated, and everything else. And we, and when our lens isn't seeing what's going on, and to how to listen to those on the front lines like Catherine and such, who really are on the pulse of what's going on in marginalized populations who are under attack by the United States. So we need to talk and work and get ourselves on code together at home right now as activists.
Absolutely. Yep. And there's still the COVID variant is still out there. Yeah. It's spreading at an exponential rate. The vaccine rollout was a mess. And they're just now coming to those that are 75 years old and older here in Connecticut. And then you have the misinformation of the vaccine, the misinformation from the virus. So you have people that are saying, I'll just take my chances and get it, as opposed to getting the vaccine. So, you know, it's going to be a hot mess. We'll see how this whole thing plays itself out. But at least, I want to make sure y'all know that Donald's going to throw himself a party before he leaves next Wednesday. He's going to have a 21 gun salute. He's going to have the color guard. And he's going to have a red carpet and a military send-off. You just cannot make this up, people. I keep telling you.
Are you serious?
I'm deadly serious.
I thought you were joking.
He is the commander-in-chief until noon on Wednesday, and the commander-in-chief has called the Pentagon. It says he wants a dictator send-off. He gets the whole thing.
Martial arts better. That man is a freaking arsonist.
I mean,
a freaking arsonist.
You got me speechless. I'm speechless right now. I can't believe that. I died.
For real. I'm telling you. So he's trying to see if that would eclipse Joe Biden's inauguration. So he's going to spend more of our money on a 21 gun salute, a red carpet, and a color guard, and a whole ceremony for him to get on Air Force One and go to Florida.
If they would have impeached
when
him,
honestly, they need to send his behind on Coach, on Spirit Airlines, really.
Uber, send him out with an Uber, man. Get him an Uber.
They need an Uber Donald back to Florida.
That's what I'm saying.
They need to put them in Rikers. They all could go to Rikers.
Yo, where is Congress? Where is Congress to say that we're not authorizing this? You can't. They're an equal, co-powerful part of the government. Why aren't they saying that? No, you're not doing that.
They're like,
because we're not holding them accountable.
It's like a bad marriage. Just take whatever you want. Just get out.
Yeah.
I'm flabbergasted.
You thought I was kidding when I said that?
There.
I don't care where you got. I don't care. You ain't got to go home, but you got to get the hell out the White House on Wednesday by noon. But checkout is noon. Okay.
Do whatever, throw whatever. I don't care. Just get the fuck out.
Y'all better know checkout is noon on Wednesday. And we need you going, Donald. You and your people, y'all need to be going.
I can't believe that.
You can throw yourself all the parties you want, but it better be broom swept and clean, and y'all must be.
And we're doing a move out. We're doing a move out investigation. We're doing a move out inspection also.
And you ain't getting your security bag.
Get your security deposit back.
You brought you ain't getting your security deposit back. You can forget that. And we're gonna put you on the no more Section 8 wait list. You can't get no more Section 8, no more housing, no more federal programs, no more socialized medicine, nothing for you. You cut off. You gotta pay for your own stuff from now on. I'm sorry. Check out on Wednesdays at 12. We want Donald and his shit going. I'm sorry.
Mm-hmm.
I have to. I know everybody sends me
Don't be
inboxes on my
sorry. That's
Facebook.
valid. How you feel is valid.
Everybody on my Facebook page be sending me inboxes and say, "Will you stop it with the comedy?" I say, "If we don't make fun of this, we will be panicked and
Right.
hiding under our bed." So
We
I
tell
have to be.
military. It's actually a very good way to therapeutically survive.
That's
Now,
right.
don't y'all feel better laughing about Donald leaving tonight? We're
Yeah.
gonna just think about the moving truck. I thought he was gonna move out. We wanted people
He
to
needs a
skip overnight.
U-Haul. No,
Like
no.
he was gonna
He
wake
gotta
up the
bring back
next
a
morning and die.
U-Haul within 24 hours.
I thought Donald was gonna leave in the middle of the night because he overvalued.
He's gonna sneak out. He's gonna peace
Man,
out.
Donald, you could go and listen. You listen. You did you see they was looting the White House? They walked out with a Lincoln head. Who takes stuff out
Well,
of the
why
White
not?
House?
They took a shit. They might as well take that too.
He was looting the White House.
We just like took out that picture of Lincoln or something like, I'm just gonna take this. Oh, they would demand that there be at least
Wait a minute, you guys.
for every.
They're not mad about that, but they're mad when we take down the Columbus statue.
Right. The White House is the biggest museum on the planet. I mean, I've been in the White House. I went for a tour. It's beautiful. It's like it was kind of creepy. I couldn't imagine sleeping there, but it's because it was like a lot of people that slept there before, and I don't want to be there. But I mean, there's a bust of Washington and a bust of Lincoln and pictures of presidents and their wives and these portraits and stuff. And I could just imagine Donald saying, "We're going to take this. We're going to take this. You know what? We're going to go get our shit back. You're giving it back, Donald." And Mar-a-Lago said that they don't even want you down there. The Mar-a-Lago people said, "No,
Right.
no. We know that there's other places he can go live. He can't. No, you can't stay here either, bro. And I know your credit's not good right now, so no."
Go to Trump Towers. He got Trump Towers. He can go to Trump Towers.
No.
You know who you should
No, he doesn't want to go
Ron?
back to New York.
Omarosa.
He doesn't want to go back to New
Don't
York.
come back there.
Yeah, he doesn't want to go back to New York.
He
They
should
cut
go
$17 million out of his budget.
Important graduates.
He was so vengeful against Andrew Cuomo coming against him with that virus. Listen, Donald's like, no.
Oh, yeah.
And then, wait a minute. But did you hear that the Trump list? I know we're going over, but this is too good. The Trump brand, they tell it all over the world to take that damn sign down. I don't want that sign on my building. Like, so he can't go back to the PGA Tour. So I'm telling you, when I rolled through McDonald's on Dixwell Avenue and Donald Trump comes to the window and says, "Do you want to supersize those fries?" I'm going to fall out. I'm like, "Donald, is that you?"
He
Donald
can't even
Jr.
get to
doing
go
bad.
Miss Universe.
Edgar, I'd be like, "Donald,
He
you're
doing
doing real bad."
He doing real bad. I'm
Yeah,
telling
he
you.
hurt.
They took away his Miss Universe endorsement. He doesn't even have that. He has
They
nothing.
took everything away.
You know?
It's all gone. He's like broke. And he still owe that $500 million to somebody. I think Vladimir Putin, but we'll find out.
Putin. It's
Because
Putin.
he never could explain who he owed the $500 million to. And now he got no income coming in because he can't even, they don't even want his name on the side of his own building.
No, but listen, Remember, he said he's rich. He's really, really, really rich. He's rich. So he shouldn't have any problem. He shouldn't have any money problem because I'm wealthy. I'm rich.
Donald only pays $750 in income tax. He ain't that rich. He broke out loud. He's broke with a megaphone. Unless, he basically lied on his taxes. Oh, you know what that's called? A federal offense, tax evasion.
Yep, tax evasion.
Okay.
I'm sorry.
But how many
having
offenses?
so much fun with it tonight.
Wait a minute. How many offenses does he commit before he?
You know, one of those flossing rappers that always talk about all their money they got or something. That's all he is.
Yeah.
It's just you're the white version of that. You get to be president.
Yeah.
Right. Right.
And go under
How
as
many
a
offenses does he
successful
have to commit?
businessman. He was a successful businessman.
How many?
But
That's
he
all I want
filed
to
bankruptcy
know.
20 times.
Yes. He had
Check out
shoes.
is Wednesday
You know,
at
how
12.
many offenses?
All right.
Come on.
All right.
Checkout is Wednesday at 12. I will
Yeah.
see y'all back here next Saturday at 8 o'clock. We will now reconvene and talk about watching Donald and his stuff leave the White House.
Well, be safe, everybody. Be safe.
Yep. Everybody be safe. We'll talk.
Wear your mask, sanitize, get a face shield. Have a good night, everybody.
All right. Good night. Good night.
Have a good
All right.
Good night, everybody, and thank you for watching.